Hi everyone, it's Vani and welcome back to the Positivity Voice. I'm super excited to continue this series for the month of June and invite you all to learn more about today's guest. Her name is Maggie Dempsey. She's actually one of my sister queens from 5 years ago, so I'm super excited to get to chat with her and all about things Girl Boss and her trailblazing interview platform called CrownChat. So I see that Maggie has joined on. And so, hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I love the pink. We're kind of
Ah,
matching.
thank you. I know. I figured Crown Chat, got to do the pink.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, on brand. I love
Absolutely.
it. Have you had a good week so far?
Yeah, it's been busy. I started a new job this week, so
Oh,
it's been, a whirlwind. I wasn't allowed into my computer until today because there was something wrong with my account. It was just such a crazy week, but it's going good now. We're
okay.
double
Oh my
thumbs
gosh,
up.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were able to join on. Thank you so much. I'm
Yeah,
excited
of
to dive
course.
into all of the things. Um, so I see a few people join, so we can kind of just get started by having
Yeah.
you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about Crown Chat.
Yes, absolutely. So, hi everyone. My name is Maggie Dempsey. I've been involved in pageantry for about 9 years now. As Vani said, that we were Sister Queens back in 2020. I cannot believe it's been 5 years already.
Oh,
Time flies. But I'm also the founder of CrownChat, which is an AI-powered mobile application that helps girls prepare for their next pageant interview with confidence. And I know we're going to dive into that a little bit, so I won't go into too many details yet. But in my free time, I love to be active. I'm really into like yoga and workout classes, but I'm also super involved in like being a woman in business and technology and just super passionate about being involved in the community.
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
think it's crazy, like you said, that was 5 years ago.
I can't believe we
That's
were
like
preteen
crazy.
at that point.
I know. I feel like our lives have like really drastically changed. Like I started high school and now I'm in college, and you have also you
Yeah.
were in college then and now you're like working full time and all the things. So it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It feels like another lifetime ago, but
I know, and it was just five
yeah,
years
it
ago.
was a
That's
great year
crazy.
though. It was a
Hmm.
great year.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've traveled more in my life, literally.
In that year. Yeah, IUM definitely, there's so many travel opportunities, which I'm so grateful for. It was a crazy year to travel during because it was during COVID and everything, but we made it work and it was fun.
Yes. Now, were you always like a tech major, or was that something you kind of shifted into?
No, so when I went to school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to go into. I knew I wanted to do something business related, but to say I changed my mind about like 15 times would be pretty accurate. So I ended up going into what they call management information systems, which is a combination of business and technology. But I've always kind of had that mindset ever since I was a kid. I always talk about my dad was a software engineer, so we would like play with electrical circuit boards, and I just loved to build and innovate. So it was always something that I was passionate about. I just wasn't quite sure exactly like what field I wanted to go into. And then during school, I started to really dive into things. But honestly, it wasn't until after school that I really got involved in like loving coding and technology and learning all that type of stuff. It's also interesting to me.
Mhm.
But I always say, like, I'm always a beginner still. Like, there's so much to learn out there, especially now with everything happening with AI. So it's definitely something I'm passionate about and continuously learning throughout this journey.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember, I think it was last year we talked, and you were talking about how after work you would come back and like spend so much time coding for
Oh
Crowd Chat.
yeah. Yes.
So,
No, it definitely was a labor of love that it was something like really before I started Crown Chat, I had taken one coding class. I knew a little bit, but it was all brand new. It really just started this idea that and a problem that I knew I wanted to solve, but I wasn't really sure how to do it. But with the help of AI and ChatGPT and lots of online searching, and as well as support from some people that are close to me, that have experience in that space.
Mhm.
It slowly just started to come together. I took piece by piece, and all, after it took about 6 months for me to build, but I'm so happy, and there's so much more that I want to do with it. This is just the beginning, and that's why I love getting all this feedback from girls who have been using it, and this is, again, just the beginning of the product.
Yeah, so how did you kind of come up with it and like I guess like walk me through how it came to be because 6 months obviously is a long time and it's hard to keep that motivation. So kind of how was
Absolutely.
that process like and how did you stay motivated throughout the process?
Yeah, for me, I remember at that point I was living in Los Angeles and I had decided that I wanted to compete in pageants again. I had taken a few years off during school and I was like, okay, I know I want to compete, but growing up, my mom and I would sit at the kitchen table for hours and practice interview questions. And now my mom was on the other side of the country. I'm not living at home anymore. And she was also a 3-hour time difference.
Oh
So I
yeah.
was like, how am I going to practice interview to the scale I was before? So then I started thinking about it. I was like, can AI help me? Like, there's so many different tools out there now. So that's where the idea really started to blossom. And I was like, okay, how would this work? There's other interview platforms out there, but none of them are tailored towards pageant girls. And, we have so many different requirements on like a job interview. Like,
Mhm.
there's a timer. We have to talk about our platform. There's certain
Yeah.
questions we get asked. So that's where I started to figure out, okay, like what could this be? And originally I was like, I'll just build something small and simple for myself so I can
Mhm.
practice. But once I started going, I was like, no, this is a tool that could benefit so many
Yeah.
girls out there. And that's really what just kept me motivated was the fact of like, okay, I know this is something that'd be really valuable for girls all across the world as they're preparing for their pageant and also just helping build up their confidence. If you're someone who's either brand new to pageantry or even if you're competing for your fifth national title, that being prepared and knowing who you are is so important that CrownChat is really a tool that any pageant girl or any girl just looking to build up her confidence around her communication skills can use.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I remember like when you talked about it at first, I was like, this is so needed. Like honestly, especially as you continue to see all of these tech advances, like knowing how to use that to help us to continue to practice. Because I too also practice with my mom a lot, or I would just like practice in front of a wall, like pick out questions and practice in front of a wall, and it was just kind of you to yourself. But now getting that feedback is definitely very, very valuable.
Absolutely.
And I know CrownChat has so many features too. What's kind of like, I guess, overview of them and like your favorite features
Yeah,
that it has?
absolutely. I mean, our goal is really to be like the ultimate pageant prep app. And first, I wanted to really focus on pageant interview because I think there's so much
Mhm.
opportunity there. But as we continue to grow and expand, I think there's so many opportunities to help girls prepare for different competitions. For me personally, the number one feature is the pageant interview because all you need to do, like every day, just start building your confidence, like 3 questions a day. You can easily, when you're even getting ready in the morning, doing your
Yeah.
makeup, prop up your phone and just ask me a question. And do that 3 questions. It should take you less than 3 minutes, and you're already starting to get closer to your like winning a national or state title. So I think that was really like something I was like, okay, the simplicity of it, the fact you can practice anywhere, anytime, you don't need someone, that is, I think, the best feature of the app. But there's so many other things and other tools that we're building to help girls. So there's a pageant journal that every week you get a different prompt. And just again, it's helping you get to know yourself a little bit more, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. So when you walk in a pageant interview room or for onstage question, you know yourself well enough to be able to answer any question that comes your way. There's also a pageant development platform tool that I think is really awesome. So pretty much you chat with AI and it helps you come up or improve your current pageant platform. So if you're not really sure exactly what you want to do, or if you have a platform but you're like not really sure how to promote this on social media, or I'm not really sure what volunteer events I could do, you can talk with this chat and it will walk you through step by step of how to take your pageant platform to the next level. And I think that is super great for all girls, even if you're a reigning title holder and you want to understand, like, okay, what is my brand? How do I continue to improve this throughout my year? It's a great tool. But on top of that, there's so many other little features, like there's practice notifications. So like every night at 8 p.m., I get a notification, I need to practice, and I can go, and it reminds me, okay, because pageant girls are super busy, so it's super important to have that notification reminder, okay,
Yeah.
like this is something I need to prioritize. There's tracking, so you know how many questions you competed or completed this week, this month, this year, how are you tracking towards your goals, and so many more. But again, this is just the beginning, and we want to continue to expand it in the coming years.
That's so cool. I didn't know that there was a reminder. I'll have to dabble with that. Like I saw a lot of the like you mentioned the platform
Hmm.
building and the interview, which is super, super helpful. But the reminder is definitely will help you to
Yes.
like stay on track and make sure that you're not forgetting or
Yes,
moving
absolutely. Under the
past that.
notification settings, you can set that, but also make sure it's turned on your phone
Yes.
too. Gotta have it set on in both.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm sure like when you were, developing this, there was a lot of challenges that came, and
Oh,
how
yes.
did you kind of troubleshoot it and not let it sort of deter you from your purpose?
I think again, knowing my purpose and my why was such a driving force. And if I wasn't so passionate about this product and the value it could provide to people, I think I could have given up 100 times.
Mhm.
There's just so many challenges, especially as someone coming into the space, not really knowing a lot about coding or even any idea how to build an app. This was all brand new to me. So, of course, I encountered so many challenges, but through it all, again, I knew my why and I
Mhm.
knew why I wanted to do this. And there's so many great resources nowadays, especially with ChatGPT and
Yeah,
other coding AI tools you can use to help, figure out your bugs, figure out why a certain tool isn't working. That really helped me throughout my journey too. I mean, truly, I went to ChatGPT when I started all this and started with a simple question. How do I build an app? And from there, and that's just really where it took off. So having the help of AI has been super helpful. And on top of that, like I think it probably would have taken me like 3 years to build it without
yeah,
ChatGPT and all the great tools there are now. But it really just goes to show that there's the world of AI and technology is just opening doors for girls in so many different areas. And what, maybe you once had to be a professional or an expert on, now is opening the doors for beginners to explore that space too.
for sure. Yeah, and I know we have some tech people on. My sister's also in tech,
Oh, awesome.
and so she's probably very interested in all of this too. But would you think that like AI obviously continues to develop? Like, do you think that it would, or like, how do you see it kind of going forward with CrownChat, but also just in general in the future?
Absolutely. So again, as I mentioned, that I really want to have pageant. I really want it to be like the pageant ultimate prep app.
Hmm.
That's the goal. We want every girl out there to be like, this is something that's really going to help me throughout my journey and have so many different areas. But on top of that, pageantry is so much about that one-on-one connection too, that you're gonna still want to
Yeah.
have those one-on-one interviews. Like it's never gonna take away from that personal touch. And I know so many people are like, oh, it's gonna take my job, oh, it's this. But really, this is just supposed to be an additional tool that you use to help take your skills, take your confidence to the next level. And it will always be that. And again, technology is going to continue to expand and grow. And we have so many cool ideas. I don't want to spill too many beans yet, but it's going to just be such a great tool for girls to be able to use in the coming years as technology continues to expand. And I mean, right now, AI, depending on what you're doing, can be really expensive, but as time goes on, it's going to get cheaper and we're going to be able to provide so many more tools.
Mhm.
So, again, I don't want to spill too much of
Okay.
what's upcoming, but just know there's lots of good stuff in the works.
That's exciting. We'll all be like stalking the Instagram, like looking for the next update. I love
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
I'm sure too, like as you have an MBA too, and you have that business and tech background, as well as I think a platform called Creating CEOs. Correct me
Yes,
if I'm wrong. Okay, cool. So how has that sort of influenced this journey and continues to influence the work that you do?
yes. So, my platform, Creating CEOs, is all about sparking curiosity and creating opportunity for girls in male dominated fields, especially business and technology. So, ever since I was little, I loved volunteering. I had such a heart for volunteering and serving others. And as I grew older, the whole idea around like women empowerment and just female empowerment like always was so exciting to me. So I knew that was something that I wanted to continue to focus my volunteer work on. And when I created my platform a few years ago, it was clear to me that like I wanted to continue to inspire the women that has inspired me in the spaces I have been in. So I've been working on a fun couple projects. Unfortunately, can't share too much yet, but some of the things like working with organizations like Technovation and a couple other ones that have been really working with girls across the world to inspire them to get involved in in technology at a young age. I think for me, as I was talking about my
Yeah.
dad being a software engineer and playing with circuit boards and learning all the engineering stuff at such a young age, I never questioned if I belonged in those spaces. And that's what I try to do through my platform, creating CEOs, is inspire girls and get them involved in those spaces at such a young age that they never question if they belong and just have the confidence to succeed and, again, continue to create those opportunities for them in those fields.
I love that. And I think that's so true because I feel like as when we're younger, there's like so much curiosity, right? Like we continue to just be, thrilled by everything that comes, ready to learn and absorb everything. And then when you get older, that's kind of like a lot of uncertainty comes in and then, you start to
Absolutely.
question yourself, your career choice, everything. I love that you're able to bring that back into people because it's definitely something that gives us a lot more joy when we
Yeah.
have curiosity and when we're there and ready to learn and ready to just be open to new possibilities and new journeys. So I love that. That's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's definitely something I'm super passionate about. I feel like a lot of my life involves
Mhm.
technology and business and
Yeah.
all of that. So it's really nice to also be working on a product that is goes hand in hand with my platform and also my professional job. I work in product operations, so all of it kind of all matches together, which is also really special to me.
That's wonderful. And I know you mentioned it also being a male dominated industry too. Like I'm sure as you entered the workforce and even throughout college, I'm studying business as well. So it's definitely a lot of challenges that come your way too, that in that sense. So could you talk a little bit more about that and how you navigated any of those feelings if they've come up?
Absolutely. When you look at the business field in general, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a male dominated field, but there are certain areas in business that still are. When we
Yeah.
look at the Fortune 500 companies, only 11% of CEOs are female.
Mhm.
So there's so much areas that I think, okay, like there's still room to
Mhm.
grow. For me personally, knowing my confidence and knowing my why, again, I think is so important when you step into any space,
For sure.
whether you are the only female in the room or if it's filled with females. If you know like your purpose of being there, if you feel prepared and ready to go, it doesn't matter if you're the only female. Like you're going to stand up, you're going to have a voice in that room, and I think that's so important, especially coming from out of college and now stepping into the
Yeah.
workforce and this being my third full-time company that I'm working for. At the end of the day, it's really just like walking in, and even if you don't fully know what you're doing, fake it till you make it a little bit, because people will recognize that confidence and respect that, and then we'll just go from there.
For sure. Confidence is, I think, a big key aspect of that because, like you said, you may not know what you're doing, but if you look confident, then people will believe you and, want to listen to you too. So that's definitely a key factor. And I know for a lot of people too, the confidence develops very later on, or, some people are just born with confidence. I personally have, had to develop that over the years.
Absolutely.
I had big social anxiety. Like I could not talk to people. I was very, very shy. So for you, was that, similar or did you kind of have that confidence from a young age?
Yeah, I definitely built it. I think pageantry was a big
For
part of
sure.
that, thankfully. But I also looking back, I was working managing my own projects at 19 years old. So I had to
Wow.
gain the respect of people who were much older than me.
Yeah.
And it came down to two things. One, just being personable.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't need to be the loudest person in the room. Usually I'm not. But just smiling at people, making small jokes, just trying to connect with them, not just on like a professional level but also on a
Mhm.
personal level. And then also, again, being knowledgeable. People will respect you and want to listen to you if they feel you have knowledge in the space. And obviously, at 19 years old, I'm not going to know all the answers, and that's okay too. But going in being like, okay, this is why I think we should do this because of X, Y, and Z, that all of those other things, even if you're not super confident, if you can at least have the knowledge to be able to give input and then again, just be personable,
Yeah.
the rest will follow.
Oh, I love that. That's so true. I mean, when you think about it, like it's really hard to feel at a young age that like I have something to offer, right? But
Yeah.
taking that opportunity and that initiative, that definitely is something that builds trust over time and builds confidence over time as well. So that's great.
Absolutely. And I think, again, confidence doesn't necessarily mean you have to walk in the room and be the loudest person or
Yep.
be the person who's commanding everything. Like, that's not necessarily what I would call confidence. Confidence is knowing, again, you earned a seat at the table, you deserve to be there. It's just making sure that you're communicating your value and creating those connections. Because once you start building those personal connections outside of just work or whatever your work or whatever room you're in, that it really just continues to grow from there.
That's so true. Little snaps for that. I love it. Well
Absolutely.
said. So outside of tech and a little bit of pageantry and work, what are you involved in? I'd love to hear about all the other amazing things that you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, I just moved from LA to New York. So, my life has been a little busy focusing on that. I did the road trip across the country,
Oh
which was a
yeah! Wow!
crazy 7 days of driving, but it was really awesome.
Wow!
And I'm so grateful I got to do that experience. But now life has been focused on just exploring New York City and figuring out kind of how I want my life to look like here. I've been trying out some different workout classes, which has been really
Cool.
awesome. My abs are really sore today, but I've been really enjoying that on top of like running in Central Park. But also a big part of me and my hobbies are I love thrift shopping. I think it's
Oh,
super important to shop sustainably and just finding like a good thrifted piece for only a few dollars compared to what retails, 100 plus dollars is something that I love the search. I love the find. Most of my clothes, I would say probably about 80 to 90% of them are thrifted,
wow!
including most of my pageant outfits too, which is really special. But, just trying to, again, explore life, be adventurous, try new things right now. You're only in your 20s once. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the mindset I've been going with the last couple of years.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I always have the worst luck when I go thrift shopping. Like I can never find like
People
you
I'll
know.
say that.
Mhm.
But okay, well, I think two things. Thrifting, you have to be willing to go a lot. It's really hard to just go
True.
once and then being like, well, it's not for me. Like, I get
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
I spend more time than I would like to admit at the thrift stores, but it's just kind of like my soothing, like, if I just want to relax,
Mhm.
I can just search for hours.
Yes.
Like, it's just
Yes.
something that comforts me. I know that's not for everyone, but
Mhm.
also being open-minded. I know that it's so easy to be like, I'm not sure about that. But when you just say like, oh wait, maybe if I pair it with this, like you have to
Yeah.
try to like go in with a plan. I
Mhm.
always suggest for people who are first time thrift shopping to go on Pinterest and kind of pick
Ooh.
out some outfits they
Yeah.
like. Because
Mhm.
then you can go through and kind of have a vision of like what you're looking for at the thrift store. So it's not just like millions of
Yeah.
pieces. It's like, okay, I know my style a little bit more, so then I can figure it out.
That's actually really good. I've never thought about that, but like I typically just like go blind and I'm like, we'll see. But
It's
that's actually
fair.
really,
That's what
really
most
good.
people do.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's like I hear these stories of, oh, I found this, I found that. I even see pictures of people. I'm like, I don't know how they're finding these lucky things literally. But you have to kind of have the eye and the patience, I think, when you go and,
Patience
just
is key.
exactly, yeah, being ready to being open-minded, like you said, is so important.
Yeah, I always joke because I'm like, by the time, like, yes, I save a lot of money
Mhm.
thrifting, but by the time I think about how much money I spend in the, or how much time I spend in the stores, I'm like, I could probably work like a part-time
Really?
job and make up for this. So it's just, it's just something I really
Yeah.
enjoy to do, but I
Mhm.
also get that you really do have to
For
be
sure.
patient. It's a little time consuming too.
It's like a personal shopper. You'd be a personal shopper for people in
I
thrift stores.
I know. One of my friends asked me to do that, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet, but maybe someday.
Uh, I love that. I feel like we all have our little like soothing activities that help us to just decompress.
Yeah.
I feel like thrifting gives me more stress than pleasure, but maybe I can try again. We'll see.
No, absolutely. And something that like I'm really excited about as I'm like thinking about competing going forward is like showing pageant girls that you can look and feel like
Oh
$1 million
yeah,
without spending $1 million, because I know pageantry is so
for sure.
expensive and all the
Yeah.
outfits are very expensive, but there's so many good finds already out there, whether it be looking on Facebook groups or going thrift shopping, Poshmark. There's just so many awesome tools out there now,
Mhm.
especially with the internet, everything that, again, you don't have to spend $1 million and get everything
Yeah.
brand new to look great and feel great during pageant
That's
week.
so true. You literally just have to search and it's there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So before I guess we wrap up, do you have any sort of advice that you have for whether it's people in tech, whether it's people in business, as women, or just going after your goals and without any sort of restrictions? What advice do you have for the younger generation, or honestly anyone out there looking to kind of go through that path?
I always like to say, with a little hard work and hustle and a little bit of heart,
Mhm.
anything is possible. So, when you're going, no matter what goal you have, no matter what dream you're going after, reminding yourself that, like, yes, you may have to work extra hard. You may have to dedicate 40 hours a week or something
Yeah.
ridiculous. But if you are that passionate about accomplishing a dream, like, anything is possible. So, continuing to just push yourself and know your why, know your purpose, know what goal you're trying to go after, and if you don't know what your purpose is and your why, that's okay too. But try to take the time to get to know yourself. Whether it be journaling, whether it be going to try new classes or exploring different online classes,
Mhm.
whatever it is, try to understand like what excites you. So then from there you can again go after whatever goal you set for yourself, full of heart and fueled up, ready to accomplish that, because it's so easy to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
And when you face challenges in life, if you are not passionate about what you're doing, it's so easy to shut down and not continue going at the
Mhm.
pace you are. So making sure that, again, you're passionate about what you're doing, you're working extra hard. It's okay if everyone around you isn't doing what you're doing.
Mhm.
None of my friends were creating an app and spending 30 hours a week developing something that who knows if anyone was going to like it at that point. But that's okay too. And just trusting yourself and your gut. Again, whatever excites you, go after that with full force, because you never know what's possible.
Absolutely. And you're a living example of that, a testimony
Thank
to resilience and determination, because it's definitely not easy doing something like that from scratch, and not knowing where to next, right? So
Yeah.
that's really, really great advice, and definitely something that I think so many people will benefit from hearing. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for having me. This was fun. I definitely miss you.
I know.
Hope to see
I'll
you
have to do like a
soon.
trip down to New York, or sometime
Yes.
at some point we'll have to meet up.
Yes, absolutely. The big city. You gotta
I
come down
know.
now.
So I think I've only been to New York like once or twice. So
So it's
definitely we'll
time for
have to plan a visit
another.
soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about CrownChat. Where can people find you and download CrownChat? Can you share the details about that?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go on the App Store, you can download CrownChat. CrownChat is one word. I will say it's only available on Apple right now. We're working. I know there's been a lot of requests for Android, so it will be coming. But hang tight. Definitely follow us on Instagram at the CrownChat app. So that was the best place to find all the new updates on CrownChat. And then I'm just Maggie Dempsey, Maggie.Dempsey, I think.
Love it, love it. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing. I hope everybody enjoyed listening, and I hope you have a great day, Maggie. It was so
Thanks,
nice talking to
Bonnie.
you.
Great talking to you. Bye.
Bye.